going to a conference in the United States. John here.
Hey, I'm Becky.
In this lesson, you'll learn how to use the prepositions at, on, and in relation to place. The conversation takes place in the office.
It's between Sean and Rachel.
The speakers are coworkers, so they will use informal English. Okay, let's listen to the conversation. The national conference is tomorrow.
Yes, it will be held in New York.
Do you know where?
It's at the Sheraton Hotel.
The Sheraton on 7th Avenue?
Yes, that's it. Have you been there before?
I stayed there on vacation once. Listen to the conversation one time slowly. The national conference is tomorrow.
Yes, it will be held in New York.
Do you know where?
It's at the Sheraton Hotel.
The Sheraton on 7th Avenue?
Yes, that's it. Have you been there before?
I stayed there on vacation once. Sean and Rachel have a conference to attend.
Yeah, sounds like it will be a work conference.
At least it's in a good hotel.
Right. I have friends that are always traveling for work conferences.
Yeah, I guess that some people have to go to a lot of conferences for their jobs. It's a good place to find out more information or new ways of working.
You can also meet people from other companies and do some networking.
That's especially true if it's a national conference and people travel from all over the country. The company might even pay for your hotel stay.
Those are the best conferences. Nice hotel, free food.
You make it sound like conferences are awesome.
They can be, but sometimes you have to do some research before.
Yeah, sometimes you have information to read through or may even have to give a talk.
Those are the worst conferences.
Okay, let's take a look at the vocabulary from this lesson. The first word is
National.
relating to an entire country.
National. National.
Next we have
Tomorrow.
the day after today.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Next we have
To hold.
to arrange and take part in a meeting or event.
To hold. To hold.
Next we have
To know.
to be aware of something.
To know. To know.
Next we have
Hotel.
a place to stay while on vacation.
Hotel. Hotel.
Next we have
Avenue.
a road or street in a town.
Avenue. Avenue.
Next we have
Before.
the time preceding.
Before. Before.
Next we have
To stay.
to visit, to remain somewhere.
To stay. To stay.
Next we have
Vacation.
leisure trip, trip taken only for enjoyment.
Vacation. Vacation.
And last,
Once.
one time.
Once. Once.
Let's have a closer look at the usage of some of the words and phrases from this lesson. The first word is
National.
meaning relating to an entire country. What can you tell us about this?
It's an adjective you use to describe something that is common to an entire country.
I often hear it used in sports.
That's right. If there's a sporting event that involves teams or athletes from all over the U.S., it will be a national championship.
But it isn't only used for the United States, right?
No, a national championship in Canada, for example, would have teams and athletes from all over Canada taking part.
Can you give us an example using this word?
Sure, for example, you can say, he will be delivering a speech at the national conference next week.
Okay, what's the next word?
To hold.
Meaning to arrange and take part in a meeting or event. What can you tell us about this?
You can use this verb to talk about organizing an event or party. So if we say, John is holding a party,
It means that John is organizing the party.
you can use to hold in both informal and formal language. But there are some other verbs you can use informally. Actually, you probably use these verbs more often than hold.
What verbs are these?
You can say throw a party or have a party. Hold is used for more formal events.
Can you give us an example using this word?
Sure, for example, you can say, the company is holding a conference next week.
Which means the company is organizing a conference for next week. Okay, now on to the lesson focus. In this lesson, you'll learn about the prepositions at, on, and in relation to place. We looked at these prepositions in lesson 1, but when talking about time.
Right. We learned that you use at for time, on for days, and in for months and periods of time.
But these 3 prepositions can also be used for place and location. I'm not sure if that's convenient or confusing.
Hopefully convenient.
Let's start by looking at in.
You can use in for enclosed spaces such as a room and also countries. In goes before the place, and sometimes we need an article.
So we would say, in the bedroom, or in France.
An example sentence is, he always sings in the car.
I'll give another example. I thought that I put my credit card in my wallet before I left home, but it isn't there.
Yeah, things such as a box, wallet, or bag are also enclosed spaces, so they need in.
Next, we'll look at.
We use at for a physical point. So if you're talking about meeting at the post office, it would mean that the post office is the meeting point. But that doesn't necessarily mean inside the post office.
If it was inside, we'd say in the post office.
That's right. We can say, there isn't an ATM at the train station.
Sometimes people may use in instead of at. This is because they're talking about being inside of the train station building. But if you stick to this rule and use at, you won't be wrong.
There is one big exception that we need to point out, though. We never say in home. It's always at home.
Right. He's studying in home sounds weird. We say he's studying at home.
Don't forget that one.
Finally, for this lesson is on.
We use on for surfaces, such as on the table or on the wall.
For example, the book is on the table. Or, are there any vegetarian dishes on the menu?
There is a big exception to this one too, that often tricks people.
I think I know what you mean.
If you are on public transport like a bus or a train, you use on. For example, on the bus, on the train.
You might think that it should be in, as it's an enclosed space, but no, use on.
We also use on for riding animals and bikes.
Okay, that's all for this lesson. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
The national conference is tomorrow.
Yes, it will be held in New York.
Do you know where?
It's at the Sheraton Hotel.
The Sheraton on 7th Avenue?
Yes, that's it. Have you been there before?
I stayed there on vacation once.